Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most merciful, most compassionate. Honorable Datuk Seri Dr. Noaini binti Ahmad, Minister of Higher Education, Malaysia. Honorable Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Director of the International Islamic University, Malaysia. Honorable Professor Datuk Dr. Asma Ismail, President of Academy of Sciences, Malaysia, and Advisor of the Virtual International Halal Science Conference 2021. Yang berusaha, Encik Hairul Arifin Sahari, CEO, Halal Development Corporation Berhad. Honorable Professor Dr. Hamzah Muhammad Saleh, Dean, International Institute for Halal Research and Training, INHAT, IIUM, and Chairperson of the Virtual International Halal Science Conference 2021. Honorable guests, distinguished speakers, presenters, committee members, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and welcome to the opening ceremony of the first Virtual International Halal Science Conference 2021. The theme of the conference is Enhancing and Strengthening Halal Industry Through Science. This year, 2021, marks the 10th anniversary of INHAT. Over the years, halal sectors have indeed experienced major growth, but there are still much to do to realize a sustainable halal industry. As science and technology has become the core of the modern living, its presence and contribution in the halal sector is becoming more evident. Halal science, when embraced and practiced, shall be a way of upholding the halal and tayyib or halal and tayyiban lifestyle that benefits all mankind. Therefore, it is only timely to have this conference as a platform for intellectual discourse on various aspects of science and technology that is part and parcel of the halal ecosystem. We are very much honored to be partnering with Academy Science Malaysia and the Halal Development Corporation Berhad, HDC, in organizing this virtual International Halal Science Conference 2021. My name is Yumi, I am from INHAT, and I will be your MC throughout this event. We will now play the Malaysian National Anthem, Negaraku, and IIUM Anthem, Leading the Way.
Let's lead the way, lighten the future, share the wisdom to the spirit of Islam. Revelation and reason shall excel. faith and knowledge, we, the Khalifa, we will fulfill the amanah. Together we make the world a better place. Forever expand the culture of Iqra. IUN is to realize the meaning of Ramadan lil Alameen. Together we make the world a better place. Forever expand the culture of Iqra. IUN is to realize the meaning of mercy to all worlds for mankind.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, to seek blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this event, I would now like to invite Ustad Abdul Khair Jalil, Head of Imam and Da'wah, IUM Sultan Haji Ahmad Shah Mosque, to recite the Al-Quran Kareem. Ustad Abdul Khair will recite Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 168 to 172. Tafadhal ya Ustaz.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين. إنما يأمركم بالسوء والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. وإذا قيل لهم اتبعوا ما أنزل الله قالوا بل نتبع ما ألفينا عليه آباءنا أولو كان آباؤهم لا يعقلون شيئا ولا يهتدون. ومثل الذين كفروا كمثل الذي ينعق بما لا يسمع إلا دعاء ونداء صم بكم عمي فهم لا يعقلون يا أيها الذين آمنوا كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم واشكروا لله إن كنتم إياه تعبدون يا أيها الذين آمنوا كلوا من طيبات ما رزقناكم واشكروا لله إن كنتم إياه تعبدون صدق الله العظيم.
Sadaqallahul Azim. Jazakallahu khair, ya Ustaz. Honorable guests, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to invite Honorable Professor Dr. Hamzah Muhammad Saleh, the Dean of the International Institute for Halal Research and Training, IIUM, to give his welcoming speech. Please welcome Professor Dr. Hamzah.
Thank you, Professor Yumi. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, Honorable Dr. Nuraini Ahmad, Minister of Higher Education, Malaysia, Honorable Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Dato' Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector, International Islamic University, Malaysia, Honorable Professor Dato' Dr. Asma Ismail, President, the Academy of Sciences, Malaysia, and also the advisor for this virtual conference, respected Mr. Hairul Arifin Sohari, the Chief Executive Officer of the Halal Development Corporation, Berhad, HDC, respected Professor Dr. Ahmad Hafiz Zulkifli, the Deputy Rector for Responsible Research and Innovation, IIUM, Dato' Professors, deans, directors, distinguished guests, collaborators, and participants. I greet and welcome you with the Islamic universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon each and every one of you. On behalf of the Conference Organizing Committee at the International Islamic University, Malaysia, IIUM, I would like to welcome all of you, the VIPs, keynote and invited speakers, paper presenters, participants, and sponsors to the first virtual International Halal Science Conference 2021. And the theme for this year's conference is enhancing and strengthening the halal industry through science. We feel very fortunate and honored to have the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, ASM, and the Halal Development Corporation Berhad, HDC, as collaborators to co-organize this conference this year. Ladies and gentlemen, halal industry science, or also called halal science to some, is one of the core pillars to expand and sustain the halal industry and the halal economy. This year, the virtual conference features sessions in multiple sessions, including keynote, invited, and paper presenters in 6 sub-themes, such as the use of technologies to enhance halal and tayyiban, halal and tayyib lifestyles, which include products and services, the use of disruptive technologies in halal services, logistics, manufacturing and supply chain, halal pharmaceuticals and medical devices, omic-based technology in halal industry, Islamic perspectives in halal science, and advanced materials and nanotechnology for halal alternative ingredients. It is our hope that the conference specific theme and sub-themes could provide good platform for relevant stakeholders from different backgrounds, perspectives, and interests to exchange and enrich ideas, as well as to synergize, enhance, and strengthen the halal industry and the halal economy. Ladies and gentlemen, this year marks the 10th anniversary of the International Institute for Halal Research and Training, INHAT, at this university. Since its inception, INHAT carries the mission to provide world-class education, research, training, and consultancy related to the halal industry, to the nation and beyond. Organization of this virtual conference manifests INHAT's unwavering commitment and efforts towards the betterment of the Muslim Ummah, the Muslim community, and mankind via the strengthening of the halal industry by emphasizing the comprehensive halal and tayyib concept using science. To end my opening remark as the chairperson, I would like to thank all the members of the organizing committee for their support and help. This virtual conference will not be possible without the hard work, coordination, and cooperation of the committee members, paper reviewers, sponsors, and volunteers. Again, thank you for contributing your valuable time and efforts toward the realization of this virtual conference. Special appreciation also goes to the speakers and registered delegates for their support to this conference, and the university management for providing the continuous support in order for INHAT to champion the halal and tayyib concept in teaching and learning, research and development, professional services, as well as in sustainable innovation. May this virtual conference be a momentous experience for everyone involved. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Honorable Professor Dr. Hamzah Muhammad Saleh. Honorable guests, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, I have now the pleasure to invite the Honorable Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Director of the International Islamic University Malaysia, to deliver his welcoming remarks. Please welcome Tan Sri.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu asyrafil anbiya Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Yang berhormat Datuk Sri Dr. Nurani Ahmad, Minister of Ministry of Higher Education Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Asma Ismail, President Academy of Science Malaysia and advisor to the conference. Yang berbahagia Brother Hairul Arifin Shahari, CEO Halal Development Corporation, my colleagues in IIUM, Professor Hafiz, and also Professor Hamzah, brothers and sisters, I would like first of all to thank Allah Ta'ala for giving us this opportunity and to wish you Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Indeed, it is a great pleasure, and I would like to first of all acknowledge the presence of the Minister who have taken time from his busy schedule to be with us and also to officiate this particular conference today. Enhancing and strengthening the halal industry through science is a theme which I think is aptly for this conference, and I indeed particularly like the word halal science. It puts what the university is trying to do, an integration of knowledge between what is religious and what is scientific. I think this is right down to the core business of this university. And indeed, I think this halal science industry is the one that is contributing quite enormously to the country gross domestic product up to almost 8%. And I hope with the scientific approach to halal management and halal research, will make it even better as we move forward. Yeah? Halal science, I'm told, is defined as halal knowledge, which is religious knowledge in particular, attained systematically through observation and experimentation study, and the practice to describe and explain the natural phenomena that is related to halal practices. Indeed, I think this will enlarge the concept and understanding of halal, not only to Malaysian and Muslim, but also to the non-Muslim at large. When this is scientifically validated, I think there is no more doubt as to what halal and halal science means. So I would like to congratulate you for this particular endeavor, and I would like to remind you also the talk that was given by the president of the Academy of Science just 2 days ago on how we can not only to integrate it, but to make it into a kind of a transdisciplinary sort of effort so that the blend between what is halal and what is scientific is no longer seen. It is almost seamless as part and parcel of the pursuit of knowledge and also the Islamic well-being. And there's nothing more could be well illustrated by using the halal gelatin from fish and bovine gelatins that are most researched in the replacement of non-halal, particularly the porcine gelatin. I'm told that the development of such a critical ingredient is imperative since gelatin bring about $1.34 billion US dollars worldwide, and that is 85% of the product that are from porcine skin and bones. However, the finding of alternative ingredients should not be limited to food application only. It should also be used to others, pharmaceutical, cosmetic, and indeed, I think beyond anything that is also consumed. I think clothing also perhaps have got some halal implication, which people talked about. When people talk about halal, it's just about food mainly. I guess we need to extend this whole idea of halal into a kind of a way of life, a living, rather than just food consumption. And on that note, I would like to pause for a while. When I hear the recitation of the beautiful Quran just now that talks about food, we need to come to reality that many of us now are not having good food. So that is a realization that we need to talk about. While food is important, Now we see people are raising white flags all over the country because they are not given enough food or perhaps not enough nourishment for them to go on. So there is another side to it. Well, we talk about halal, there's the other way of life that I think we need to think about. On that note, I would like to digress a little bit. So when you talk about halal and quantify it in terms of numbers, true to this university, we do not believe in just numbers. The numbers may be a big number, but what is the kind of value do we bring when we talk about these numbers? In other words, this halal science is not just about products, but also about a way of life, about the kind of a living standards, so that at the end of the day, through halal, we can reduce ailment, for example. We can reduce issues of obesity or diabetic or heart diseases. And all these preventive words are basically what halal is all about to me. And therefore, we bring another standards of living without having any cost to it in terms of what we see today. We see today because we have got good food, and therefore we need to pay in terms of all sorts of diseases. And I remember what Gandhi used to say. Gandhi used to say the number of hospitals is not a sign of health, but it's a sign of decay. And if you think about it, it is true. In fact, when everybody is well and healthy, we do not need hospitals. And therefore, sometimes I pull the leg of people in Susmek. I ask them, when do you want to close this Kuantan hospital? Because the moment you close the Kuantan hospital means everybody in Kuantan is healthy. We don't need the hospital anymore. I mean, that's the kind of, the kind of vision that we need, especially when Kuantan Hospital is Sharia compliance. I would believe that people who are Sharia compliance will probably be healthy and they do not need to depend on any other institution for that matter. So that kind of a broadening of mind of what halal means to us, beyond just numbers, beyond just products, and beyond just things, I think should be something that INHAT would want to think about. After all, you're now 10 years old, and I think you need to move on into other spaces of knowledge at the same time. I also noted that we have got collaboration with other universities, Putra universities and other sort of dimension, particularly ASM and also the Halal Development Corporation. And I do hope this collaboration will be meaningful in the sense that we work seamlessly for the one reason of trying to make humanity better at all round, given this COVID-19 that is around us. I'm not too sure how we can work better, but certainly under the COVID environment, there are many ways to explore and to look at various other issues that we can actually look forward in trying to save not only the Ummah, but generally humanity in the context of Rahmatan lil Alamin. My last word, Hamza, and I often remind you and INHAT, the word Tayyiban must be part and parcel of your halal dimension. I mean, when we talk about halal, the cleanliness part is also very, very important. And under the COVID environment, there's nothing more that we can do but to keep clean. And certainly Islam promotes clean. And I think there's a hadith which says that cleanliness is half of Iman. And therefore, we want to bring this idea of cleanliness as part and parcel, an integral parcel of what halal science is all about. We cannot have a halal science without cleanliness attached to it. And this cleanliness today, I think I would want to expand it also not only from the physical dimension, but also from the spiritual dimension, given the lessons that we learned very, very recently. The whole halal distribute change was made haram by a group of people who actually take non-halal product and redistribute it. And where is the problem? The problem is because the heart is not clean. Hati mereka tidak suci, and therefore the halal industry has been, misappropriated, manipulated, so that they can make enough money. And the numbers again, we forget about the values that attached to the numbers, and therefore we deviated. And I want to use a very ugly word, but anyway, but you make halal a kind of a mockery in the eyes of the world. I think these are major issues that we have sort of not given enough emphasis when we talk about halal, given its conventional understanding. I hope INHAT can expand this, broaden it, and make it a kind of universal values that accepted across the world, including the Muslims and the non-Muslim society as such. So on that note, let me thank you once again. Let me congratulate you, and let me also make dua for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are given the blessing, we are given the courage, and we are also given the wisdom to make use of this halal sign for the better of all. Last but not least, to acknowledge Yang Berhormat Datuk Sri once again for having his time with us. So wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Tan Sri, for your exquisite welcoming remark, sharing your aspiration, as well as on the reminder on to embrace the holistic way of halal and tayyib lifestyle and living. Thank you so much, Tan Sri. We will now share you the montage of the virtual International Halal Science Conference 2021, followed by our co-organizers Halal Development Corporation corporate video.
The global Muslim population is growing, and so is its demand for halal goods and services. In 2018 alone, Muslims spent USD 2.2 trillion on halal goods and services in 6 major economic sectors, with USD 254 billion in halal goods traded. Now, this figure is projected to reach USD 3.2 trillion by 2024. Now, due to its vast economic potential, there is an increase in global interest to move into the halal market. And we are now seeing a global trend for non-Muslim countries like USA, New Zealand, Australia, and Japan to also move into the halal market, but using modern technologies to drive the business. COVID-19 has taught us that for the economy to survive and recover, it has to be powered by science and technology. And we need to work in a collaborative ecosystems with new business models in mind, and a constant foresight exercise that needs to be done to ensure that we continue to remain competitive in the global market. Now, seizing the business opportunities in the halal market, we now see a strong investment by halal industries globally in halal science. Now, halal science refers to scientific research aimed at supporting, expanding, and sustaining the halal industry and practices globally. This encompasses analysis and the use of new disruptive technologies like blockchain to create trust in the halal supply chain, and usage of science and technology platforms to create innovative products and services that are trustworthy of its halal status and can create an impact to society, to the environment, and to the economy. The halal ecosystem, powered by halal science, can be a game changer for Malaysia. Now, this would require a strong collaborative platform among the halal scientists, the policy regulators, and other key stakeholders and international partners for a holistic development of the halal ecosystem. We hope that this conference becomes the platform for the industries, the regulatory agencies, the policy makers, Islamic scholars, researchers, and scientists to come together and discuss how we can move the halal agenda powered by halal science in order to move forward. So we look forward to meet you virtually at the International Halal Science Conference of 2021. See you.
Yes, we would like to welcome participants to the first virtual Halal Science Conference that we are organizing in July this year. We collaborate with the Academy of Sciences Malaysia in organizing this conference. And this conference actually coincides with the celebration that we are making to mark the 10th anniversary of our institute, INHA. So we look forward to meeting you virtually in July 2021. Thank you very much.
Aqui Nikwa bo si Vihasc' 2021.
Please join VIHSC for better understanding of halal lifestyle. شاركونا مؤتمر الحياة لأجل حياة أفضل.
انضموا إلينا في Vihasc' 2021.
Mari bergabung bersama kami di Vihasc' 2021.
您还在等什么？请来加入我们。Penyertaan adalah percuma. Jadi apa tunggu lagi? Jom daftar sekarang.
Honorable guests, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Now we have come to the moment to formally officiate the event. I'm honored to invite Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Dr. Noraini binti Ahmad, Minister of Higher Education Malaysia, to deliver her speech and officiate the event. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia Datuk Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar, President of the International Islamic University Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of the International Islamic University Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Professor Datuk Dr. Asma Ismail, President of the Academy of Science Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Mr. Hairul Arifin Syari, Chief Executive Officer of the Halal Development Corporation. Yang berbahagia Professor Dr. Ahmad Hafiz Zulkifli, Deputy Rector of Research and Innovation. Yang berbahagia Professor Dr. Hamzah Muhammad Saleh, Dean of the International Institute for Halal Research and Training, collaborators, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am grateful that we are able to meet online today for the virtual International Halal Science Conference 2021. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers for inviting me to deliver the officiating speech at today's event. Congratulations to the International Institute for Halal Research and Training, the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, and the Halal Development Corporation for organizing this conference. I would also like to thank Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Zulkifli Abdul Razak, Rector of the International Islamic University Malaysia, for promoting this conference to enhance and strengthen the halal ecosystem through science. This collaborative effort coincides with the role of the university in empowering Malaysia as a global halal hub. We at the Ministry of Higher Education believe that this conference is capable of addressing the country's agenda in the context of globalization and socio-economy through halal science. I have been informed that till date, the halal industry has reached a market value of more than USD 3 trillion per year. It is growing at a 20% annual rate and valued at approximately USD 560 billion a year. Therefore, the halal ecosystem requires expertise and human capital to provide efficient and effective services to meet the demand for halal products. Malaysia has been recognized as the leader in the halal system development, where our halal certification system is the best in the world. To maintain Malaysia's integrity and credibility as a halal consultant, we need to prepare ourselves to fulfill the gaps and opportunities that exist in the world's halal ecosystem. In this context, MOHI expects our higher education institutions and industry experts to employ scientific knowledge and skills in designing high-impact strategies in line with the country's national transformation agenda. The halal non-food sectors have also developed with the growing awareness of the halal and Thayyiban lifestyle. Among the businesses that are increasing in the market are pharmaceutical and cosmetic products. The application of halal technologies, such as the halal detection and blockchain, will ensure halal assurance in the whole supply chain. These technologies are among the initiatives through the introduction of the halal sciences. I hope such outputs will be part of the shared knowledge at this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, this conference is a symbol of harmonious relations between participating industries and research institutions. With the experience and the strength of each sector, I am confident that there will be positive impacts on our halal ecosystem. I truly hope that the conference will open new avenues for future collaborations. With that, I hereby officiate the Virtual International Halal Science Conference 2021. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Datuk Seri. Alhamdulillah, with the note from the Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri, the Virtual International Halal Science Conference is officially opened. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to acknowledge our collaborating partners for this event, Academy of Sciences Malaysia and Halal Development Corporation, for the excellent support. We sincerely hope that the Virtual International Halal Science Conference 2021 will benefit everyone and contribute towards the progressive growth of the halal industry while upholding the principles of halal and Thai products, services, and lifestyle. Ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, we shall begin the conference shortly with our first keynote speaker. We would very much encourage interaction between the audience and the speakers. As such, you are welcome to post your questions in the comment sections, and our Facebook admin team will collect the questions to be forwarded to the speakers. The attendance link will also be available on the Facebook Live section. You may sign in through the system. Honorable guests, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we are blessed to have with us today His Excellency Dr. Sandiaga Salahuddin Uno, Minister Tourism and Creative Economy of the Republic of Indonesia. Allow me to read his biography. Dr. Salahuddin Uno is an Indonesian businessman and politician. He was appointed a Minister of Tourism and Creative Economy of the Republic of Indonesia by the President of the Republic of Indonesia in December 23, 2020. Previously, Dr. Sandiaga was elected as Vice Governor of Jakarta between 2017 to 2022 and served from October 2017 to August 2018. He ran as a candidate of the Vice President of the Republic of Indonesia in the 2019 election. On October 16, 2019, he was appointed as Vice Chairman of the Greater Indonesia Movement Party, Gerindra. Dr. Sandiaga was one of Indonesia's most prominent young entrepreneurs and active in Indonesian business communities. He is the co-founder of PT Saratoga Investama Sedaya Tbk, the first and the biggest publicly listed active investment company in Indonesia, and served as a president director 2004-2015. He has led the investment firm to have a solid track record of profitable investments across key sectors of the Indonesian economy. Dr. Sandiaga has passion in empowering young entrepreneurs, creating to support in small, medium enterprises, and giving microloans to thousands of Indonesians. Since 2005, he has been active as social entrepreneur and served as chairman in several well-known associations and foundations in Indonesia. He founded a social movement in job creation through training and mentoring in entrepreneurship. Until today, he continues to focus on increasing job creation, especially in the small, micro, medium enterprises sector. Since 2015, Dr. Sandiaga has worked to strengthen Indonesia's economic development initiatives. He developed the Greater Indonesia Movement Party, Gerindra's economic platform for Indonesia as a Vice Chair Advisory Board from 2015 to 2018. In October 2016, he received a title of Distinguished Research Professor in Residence from the George Washington University. Dr. Sandiaga obtained a doctoral degree in management from Universitas Pelita Harapan in Indonesia. He holds a Master of Business Administration degree from George Washington University, US, and a Bachelor of Business Administration degree with the highest distinction from the Wichita State University in the US. Without further ado, let us welcome His Excellency Dr. Sandiaga Salahuddin Uno to speak on the title Halal Tourism and Lifestyle Industry. Please welcome Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for some technical challenges over here. We are still waiting for His Excellency to come into the session. We will now play to you the instruction into the breakout rooms. Thank you. Alhamdulillah, we have now His Excellency Dr. Sandiaga Salahuddin Uno with us, Minister Tourism and Creative Economy of the Republic of Indonesia. Without further ado, let us welcome His Excellency Dr. Sandiaga Salahuddin Uno to speak on the title Halal Tourism and Lifestyle Industry. Please welcome Your Excellency.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wabihi nasta'in ala umurid dunia waddin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wa mursalin. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Greetings to all of you. His Excellency Minister of Higher Education of Malaysia, His Excellency Dr. Noraini Ahmad, President of International Islamic University Malaysia, Datuk Dr. Muhammad Daud Bakar, Rector of International Islamic University Malaysia, Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Datuk Zulkifli Abdul Razak, President of the Academy of Sciences Malaysia, Professor Datuk Dr. Asma binti Ismail, Chief Executive Officers of Halal Development Corporations Berhad, Mr. Hairul Arifin Sahari, Deputy Rectors responsible Research and Innovations, Professor Dr. Ahmad Hafiz bin Zulkifli, Dean of International Institute for Halal Research and Training, Professor Dr. Hamzah Muhammad Saleh, and my very good friend, the best talent from Indonesia who's now serving in Malaysia, Professor Dr. Irwandi Jaswir, who is helping me on my Sandinomics think tank. Thank you, Prof. Irwandi, for the invitations. All distinguished speakers, collaborators, and participants. With me here are my friends from the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, Madam Rizky Handayani, Deputy for Tourism Products and Events, and Director for Specialized Tourism Promotion, Mr. Alex Rean. Please allow me to present the material on developing halal tourism industry during COVID-19 pandemic and post-industrial revolutions 4.0. I would like to remind everybody that this pandemic forces us to increase our innovations, our adaptations, and collaborations, in particular with the halal tourism concept and the opportunities. And also how we could develop a comprehensive and unified strategy, not only for Indonesia, but also in the regions. The halal tourism concept that we are developing here is based on extensions of services. Muslim travelers' faith-based service needs 2.0 as basically have three pillars: the need to have, good to have, and nice to have. And I think we have been focusing on halal food, prayer facilities, and amenities. But we are also now developing of good to have and nice to have, including some of the social program that develop on how we could improve the experience of Muslim travelers. The opportunities to develop the halal tourism lies on these three key aspects. First is diversity in tourism resources. Second, Indonesia is the largest archipelago and also with the most populous country in ASEAN and the most populous country with Muslim populations. Indonesia will focus itself as a leading destinations for halal tourism, and our attentions to positive attitudes, because some still have not developed unified knowledge on what is halal tourism and the development. As we know, the few of the favorite destinations like Labuan Bajo and Bali is also a favorite destinations for Muslim travelers, and how we make those destinations as Muslim friendly as possible. There are major components of Muslim friendly tourism, namely the transportations, the hotels, in particular the food. We take it for granted in Indonesia because 86% plus are Muslims, but in particular the preparations, the logistics of halal food is not only certifications, it's beyond certifications. Professor Irwandi always remind me that it's not only halal food, but halalan toiban. For instance, rendang. This morning he said, rendang is full of protein. The beef rendang, but it has to be prepared in the best way, which is slow cook, slow simmering cook. And this is what we need to educate, how the food, the halal food is being prepared like rendang. Tour packages and also finances. We will have huge opportunity in the finances because Islamic finance and halal finance has not even been 10% recognized in Indonesia. The market potential for halal tourism is huge. We are seeing that Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, and Indonesians spend billions of dollars overseas in the areas that is basically not yet been fully tapped by the program of our halal tourism. So we see the increase in spending by Muslim travelers, and the quality of their stay, the length of their vacations are really key for us to focus on how we could improve the experience and providing quality and sustainable tourism that is based on halal and Muslim friendly tourism. If we are seeing the model, how Global Muslim Travel Index are focusing on, so we have this access, communications, environment, and services. So these are 4 criteria that we need to continue to develop, how we could focus on improving these 4 aspects. Now, COVID-19 dealt such a tremendous blow to our sectors, in particular halal tourism. But we are seeing a sharp rebound before the second wave is coming to Indonesia as we speak now. We're seeing Bali and other tourist destinations like Borobudur see a 4-folds, has quadrupled the number of domestic visitors. And this is actually signals opportunities ahead. Next, I would like to talk about how technology is being disrupted, in particular in the areas of halal tourism, how virtual travel. I just took 5 package tours involving elementary schools into virtual tour to Danau Toba, to Lake Toba only 3 or 4 days ago. It's booming, the virtual travel and the virtual reality, augmented reality type tour. Online ticketing and booking, ecotourism, sports tourism, and how we could improve. We call it certifications of CHSE, cleanliness, health, safety, and environmental sustainability. And this is particularly very Islamic, that anything that relates to tourism must be clean, must be healthy, must be safe, and must be environmental friendly. environmental sustainable. And we are seeing that there are trends shifting in the halal travel as well during the pandemic. We call it halal travel 2.0. We're seeing the changes between the objectives all the way to the interactions with Muslim travelers. And I think these are trends that we need to make sure that we are on top of it. Like the key concept of adaptations to activations on involving technology and social activisms in terms of environmental friendly and sustainability. Lastly, I want to talk a little about strategy and policy for halal tourism to face the pandemic. We are developing 3 pillars of innovations, adaptations, and collaborations. Innovations, we're using 360 approach, whereby we use big data. Adaptations, we understand that everything now needs to adapt to the strict health protocol and collaborations. We used to compete, Malaysia and Indonesia and Thailand, we compete for a pool of travelers. I think we need to collaborate. Pandemic COVID-19 forced us to collaborate. And how, because of the quarantine required, how we could quickly establish safe travel corridor. People will tend to travel longer now, if they travel at all. So that's why, because they need to be faced by quarantine in their domestic, for their domestic purposes, we need to establish how we could collaborate. And this seminar is very, very crucial in fostering how we could collaborate better. Adaptations, we are focusing on Indonesia Care. This is what we have been working on very religiously, how we could improve the experience in the Indonesian tourism that involves from all the way from halal finance to halal food, to making sure that it's clean, healthy, safe, and environmental sustainability. And we have developed certifications and guidelines on how we conduct all these tourism facilities, also activities, and making sure people are adhered to it. So we have developed ebook and also guidelines for them to be guided. And there's also tourism and creative economy on special interest tourism, all the way from golf to marathons to rafting. And this is, I guess, one of the areas that is growing very rapidly. Lastly, digitalizations. This is unstoppable. Everything now digitalized. Also, health and longevity, as well as sustainability. These are what we call unstoppable trend, together with halal tourism and halal lifestyle. So digitalizations, we continue to innovate, how to find halal food, how to find also Sharia-based applications, and how we could find entertainment also that is gone through a platform of virtual and digitalizations, as well as e-commerce and a lot of other platforms that we are focusing on to develop. Our Vice President, Bapak Kiai Ma'ruf Amin, is a keen and very enthusiastic collaborator in this. And having him in the as Vice President really helped push the cause. And we are gaining grounds in terms of financial inclusions, as well as using collaborations with a lot of virtual platforms. And I think I want to close with a call to collaborate, how we could improve halal tourism. Here in Indonesia, these are agencies and ministries that we've been working on. I think with the concept of gotong royong, or working hand in hand, working collaborations, we would be able to achieve a much more brighter opportunities for halal tourism going forward. With that, I close and thank you very much for the opportunity. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah, warido wal inayah, wallahul muwafiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much indeed, Your Excellency, Dr. Sandiaga. You have one question on the Facebook channel, Dr. Sandiaga. May I?
Sure.
Okay. Our audience here is asking about the halal indicators, especially for the stewardess. Would aurat be one of the halal indicators?
With aurat?
By the stewardess.
For the stewardess?
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the, if you see the earlier slides that I presented, one of the halal issues that we're dealing other than halal food is halal transportations and the service in that transportation. So for instance, if we fly to Aceh now, all the stewardess is required to wear hijab, and it's one of the I guess the requirements developed by the local law that has been introduced not only now in Aceh but also in West Sumatra. So it's part of our adhering to the law, and I think that's one of the criteria. But it would be it would depend, because we have local autonomy on how each particular provinces or regencies would adapt to the standards and the extensions of service for their local law pertaining to the halal tourism.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Sandiaga. And thank you for the excellent speech, very interesting. And I can agree with you. Yeah, it's a time to collaborate to do the gotong royong. Thank you again.
Thank you. And
thank you again.
Yeah, the speech is prepared by the team, and Professor Irwandi, Ibu Rizky, and Pa Alex have collaborated for the intervention. So I would like to welcome all of you to visit and not only seeing, but also tasting the vibrations and the resonance post-pandemic of beautiful halal tourism for both of our countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sandiaga. Honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we have now come to the end of keynote session 1. We shall have a break and we'll start the parallel session at 10:55. Please proceed to the parallel sessions using the meeting ID and passcode sent to your emails. Once you join the main hall, you may select the room you would like to join. You can switch between the rooms at any time, but please note that the capacity of each room is 200 participants. If that particular room is full, you may try at a later time to rejoin. We are excited to meet all of you in the following session. Stay safe. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Assalamualaikum, Datuk Asma.
Waalaikumsalam. How's it so far? Okay?
Alhamdulillah, all okay, Datuk. Thank you. So
Huh?
we are going to be on 5 minutes, Datuk.
Faham.
Okay.
So now, how was the parallel session? Everything okay?
Alhamdulillah, okay. Yeah,
The
Alhamdulillah.
quality of papers okay kah?
My session okay, but I have only 5, so not sure. But the quality is okay.
Quality okay lah.
Okay,
So
Datuk.
I want to here at 2 o'clock kan? After my session is break, right?
After your session, we have one
Lunch break.
Yes, we have lunch break.
Until 2 o'clock, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because the next one is HTC.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum, Bro Hamzah. So far okay kah? Tak dengar. You're muted.
Okay, Datuk, we
Yeah.
are
Now they allow me to talk. Just now they mute me.
We
They wanted to shut me out.
Hamzah, we will mute you again after this. Sorry, very sorry.
Okay. I think so far it is smooth, and we hope that it will run smoothly until tomorrow at 3, inshallah.
Inshallah, Prof. Yeah, we'll stand
Okay.
by. Just pray for us.
Yeah. So, okay, let me go get my coffee. Jap.
Dr. Amal, how's the Facebook or the Facebook or YouTube? Was it?
Facebook, okay, Prof. So far, we have, in the morning, we had around 160 plus viewers.
Okay.
Yeah. But now it's decreasing because it seems like people will just join again. So we will see. We'll update.
Okay.
Prof, I think we will mute you. Is that okay?
How many people today? Did you get many audience?
Dr. Amal just updated us just now when you went for your coverage. Yeah, what was it again, Dr. Amal?
160 plus viewers on Facebook. For the panel session, we have around 100 something for some rooms, and then yeah, it's around 100 something for each room.
But the total still wasn't as registered, 300.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so it's a small number lah.
Okay, Dato, in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Amal, you want me to switch off the video?
Oh, it's okay, Prof. You can keep your video, but we will mute you.
Sorry.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the main hall. In this session, we are honored to have our second keynote speaker of the day, Honorable Professor Datuk Dr. Asma Ismail, President of Academy of Sciences, Malaysia. I have the honor to read the Yang Berbahagia Professor Datuk Dr. Asma beautiful and inspiring biography. Prof. Dr. Asma Ismail is a woman of many firsts. Besides being the first female Vice Chancellor of University Science Islam Malaysia and University Science Malaysia, she is also the country's first female Director General of Higher Education, first female of President of Academy of Sciences Malaysia, and the first female to be the chairperson of the Malaysian Qualifications Agency, MQA. The current position is as the Ibn Sina Chair for Medicine at the International Islamic University, Malaysia. She has a Bachelor of Science Biology from the University of Nevada, USA, Master's by Microbiology from Indiana University, USA, and a PhD in Cellular and Molecular Biology from University of Nevada, USA. She also received her Honorary Doctor of Science from the University of Glasgow, Honorary Degree Doctor of the University, Keele University, and Honorary Doctorate in Literature from Kyoto University of Foreign Studies. Her research impact includes attaining 16 patents and commercialized worldwide the rapid diagnostic test for typhoid called Typhidot, which was advocated by WHO. She has won numerous awards and recognitions for her achievements at national and international levels, and to date has shared her knowledge via more than 400 invited talks and more than 50 keynotes at national and global levels. She was elected to the Academy of Sciences Malaysia in 2003, the Academy of Sciences for the Developing World twice in 2010, and the Islamic World Academy of Sciences in 2016, and was elected as honorary member of the Iranian Academy of Medical Sciences in 2017. Her landmark contributions to Malaysia's higher education system include the establishment of the prestigious National Academic Award, or Anugerah Akademik Negara, the establishment of research universities in Malaysia, and in co-helming the development and implementation of the Malaysian Education Blueprint, Higher Education 2013 to 2025. Without further ado, let us welcome Yang Berbahagia Professor Dato' Asma Ismail to speak on the important title, Moving the Economy with Halal Science. Please welcome Dato'.
Thank you very much, Prof. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honored guests, speakers, participants on the virtual space, a good day to all of you. Before I begin, let me thank the organizers for allowing me to share my thoughts on this particular topic. So let me share the screen now with the slides. Okay, can you see the slide? Boleh ya? Okay, all right, sound check, okay, all right. Okay, so let me begin by talking about moving the economy with halal science. I will be addressing on these particular subjects, but let me begin by introducing the word halal again, and I'm sure many of you have already read this. It's used to describe anything permissible under the Islamic law, and the halal products and services include food and beverage, cosmetic, pharmaceuticals, medicine, medical devices, cosmetics, personal care, and so on and so forth. And this term is basically, when we use halal, usually it's mostly connected to food and beverages industry, but this is now no longer the case. Halal today has become a universal concept, and it covers aspects like behavior, like your speech, your dress, your conduct, your manner, your dietary laws, animal welfare, social justice, sustainable environment, and finance. And if you look at the global Muslim population is growing, and so is the demand for halal goods. In 2018, there were about 1.8 billion Muslims globally, but we going to see a 30% increase in the world's population that will be of Islamic faith. And by 2050, more than 99% of the world's Muslim population will reside in just 4 regions, with more than half of it in Asia Pacific alone. In 2018, Muslims essentially spent USD 2.2 trillion on halal goods and services in 6 major economic sectors, with a USD of 254 billion in halal goods traded. And this figure is projected to reach USD 3.2 trillion by 2024. Now, the wholesomeness of halal is that it not only covers the Sharia compliant aspect, but also the sustainability concept of hygiene, sanitation, food safety, and healthy lifestyle. Now, in terms of food and beverages, it signifies the most hygienic manner that meets international food standards and should be universally accepted, because halal is the benchmark for food safety. So in short, it covers our lifestyle and would encompass aspects of society, the environment, and the economy. And sustainable development goals also cover the three main elements that we talk about. So in terms of global outlook, the concept of equitable and sustainable halalan toiban ecosystem is imperative if the world is to remain resilient against the new pandemic. The question that you want to ask is the halal ecosystem affected by the changing world? As you are aware, basically we are now living in a changing world, facing many unknowns like climate change, like accelerating pace of change due to the digital age, the disruptive technology brought by Industry 4.0, global competition due to globalization, global economic crisis, and of course now the human diseases and pandemics that we see, and all this basically created disruptive change in higher education, in the lives and livelihood of people. And the global economy, including the halal economy, basically has turned into a single huge market that transcends borders. And this global economy is also changing. And we are now shifting from just a captive market to now a regional market, and now moving to global market. Simply why? Simply because of the presence of the disruptive technologies that is brought about by the digital era that has allowed for ideas, data, and capital to actually flow seamlessly into borderless worlds that bring people, cultures, markets, beliefs, and practices into increasingly greater proximity to one another. So this becomes obvious that as we see this, knowledge, data, science, and technology would be the drivers of the global economic growth. And then, of course, came COVID-19, an unprecedented global crisis that require global solutions. So we then ask, what is the impact of COVID-19 pandemic to the halal ecosystem? Now, the coronavirus pandemic has not only been a global health issue, but has also basically destroyed the global economy, with industries across the globe feeling the impact of the restrictions set by the governments globally. Why? There are two factors of the pandemic that created this impact. One is the concept of physical distancing, and the other is the national lockdowns. These two factors have basically led to a chain reaction in the global market, leading to a 4.5% reduction in global GDP, where it was originally forecasted to be 2.9%. And what this means is that now people will have a lower disposable income, consumers in general, right? And even potentially increased risk of halal food fraud, because companies now in a hurry, in a panic, now start to look to satisfy both the consumer needs and its own financial needs in this pandemic. So during the pandemic, we have to stay at home. But while at home consumption has increased, out of home consumption, which by track record usually now generates the highest profit margin, basically has come to nearly a standstill. So these unprecedented times have caused many business, regardless of size, to basically shut down permanently. And we see the socio-economic impact of COVID-19 to areas that are hugely impacted, like hospitality, the airlines, the schools, the small businesses, even oil and gas. And then we have the industries that are moderately impacted, like food and beverage manufacturing. And you find even in COVID-19, these are positively impacted and thriving sectors. And we're talking about people who manufacture PPE, sanitizers, gloves, etc. They're doing very well. And then we have people in the digital services, because we're staying at home and internet is very important, online learning is important, and so is Amazon, Netflix, and Zoom meetings that we are having, and Microsoft Teams. All this now, digital services gets to be very, very important during COVID-19. And you see also reduced pollution because no cars on the road. So that is the plus that you begin to see. But what is important is that if you want to restart for business survival, your company, your industry has got to be technology driven, and it has to be accelerating digital transformation, data driven decision, and speed in making decisions. That means agile response. And COVID basically has brought in new norms and influenced a great change in the customer behavior pattern. Because of physical distancing and staying at home, we find that online grocery shopping has increased, and therefore highlighting the increased demand of halal products online. And with the advent of the disruptive technology, we now find that digitalization of the halal industry now becomes an urgent need to meet the e-commerce demand, since with this new norm, more consumers now prefer to go on online shopping. So while the rest of the halal industry sectors, like in tourism, etc., were hugely impacted by COVID-19, the agile response by the halal food industry using technology has not been significantly impacted. So this we begin to see that the food industry has not been significantly impacted. So for resilience, COVID-19 has shown that science and technology is the key that can be a game changer to sustain or to innovate and transform the halal industry, yet maintaining the integrity of the halal practices. Now, COVID-19 also created an impact on the halal certification auditing process. Why? Because of physical distancing again, and the inability because to travel, right? We cannot go and inspect. So the inability to travel and visit the site for inspection of food safety and compliance. So there is a need to actually change the way we do things. So by using technology called artificial intelligence and blockchain, we can now trace the composition and processing of the product or services to ensure halal integrity. And automation of the industry or the manufacturing by using robots powered by artificial intelligence can also now reduce tampering to actually ensure the integrity of the process. So simply by changing the way we do things, is what COVID has taught us, that we have to be creating an agile response. Remote auditing can now overcome the lack of traveling due to the sites in order to perform inspection. So we can now replace this auditing by remote auditing. And therefore, the usage of artificial intelligence and automation in the halal industry will lower the total operating costs and therefore be able to give consumers a high quality at a lower price. Halal science, therefore, can, I think many people have stated this morning, as halal knowledge attained systematically through observation and experimentation, study and practice to describe and explain the natural phenomenon that relates to halal practices. So this is an area of study where the scientific approach is now used to support matters that are defined by Sharia and the principles of Islam. So halal science basically will support the integrity of halal products or halal services. And therefore, appropriate usage of science and technology can not only enhance and strengthen the halal industry, but as I said many times, can also innovate, sustain, and transform it. So halal itself, ladies and gentlemen, is holistic and comprehensive, such that the sciences of halal can actually sit anywhere in the spectrum of social science or humanities, applied science and technology, in order to create innovative products and services that has a great impact not only to the Muslims, but also to the world's economy, environment, and society. And with COVID-19, we see many halal products other than food basically are now sold online. However, many of these products are not certified. For example, if you want to sell tudung or head scarves, right? So selling of these head scarves and tudung online is generally within the Islamic principle. And you ask, so what's the problem with that? But the problem is that there is no certification to validate. So how do people know that the business is operating within the Islamic context? Well, what do you mean by that? If you say halal al-toiban, then you have to ask, what is the fabric that made the tudung or the head scarf? What is it made of? Is the making of the fabric destroying the environment because of the chemicals and dyes used? The growth of the cotton, for example, if the tudung or headscarf was made with cotton, the growth of the cotton itself is using a lot of water and placing a lot of pesticides in the environment. Do we advocate this? Do we continue to allow this to happen and destroy the environment? Because halal process should also include protecting the environment. Therefore, even for the selling of headscarves, there is a need for certification to validate and verify that it is actually Sharia compliant. And this is why even for headscarf, a simple matter called headscarf, there is a need for an integrated halal supply chain and use the technology of blockchain to actually trace from the time of the raw materials to the time that they make the fabric to the time that they make the scarf, all these processes involved in the supply chain to make sure that it is Sharia compliant. So as more products starts to go online, so governance and policies need to catch up with the technology, and these governance and policies need to be in place. At the very least, if there is no act available, then this calls for need for Islamic digital economy guideline for e-businesses. So in Malaysia, this has been set up by the Malaysian Digital Economic Corporation, or MDEC, that we have set up for the world. So many companies now compete to be IDE compliant. So in short, as the world changes, technology can be used to enhance, sustain, and transform actually the whole halal ecosystem. And there's also a need for, when this happens, just to make you know what is the involvement of what goes on behind selling of the scarves alone, there is a need for halal studies in the universities or online courses to be done so that researchers and entrepreneurs are much more aware about halal concept. So education of halal concept among scientists especially is very important, because if you want to move now halal science, a lot of the scientists, they already know about nanotech, they already know about biotech, they already know about all the sciences, but they are not aware about the halal concept. So this now have to be created and have to be made aware of. And now I like to bring you to Malaysian experience, how we move halal science to boost the halal ecosystem. Now, in Malaysia, like in most Muslim countries, halal plays a very prominent role, and Malaysia has journeyed in the halal industry since 1970s. And over the years, the country basically has succeeded in becoming one of the most established and trusted halal certification globally. I mean, we are #1 as far as certification is concerned. And on July 1, 2021, Malaysia launched the 4IR national policy that now states that disruptive technologies are here now to stay in Malaysia, but we want to embrace the technology with a balanced mindset governed by values and ethics. So this policy is the first time that we use the whole government approach, where all the actions and initiatives of various ministries and entities will be aligned in steering the country to achieve a balanced, responsible, and sustainable growth by leveraging on technology adoption and innovation. Now, given the role of technology to drive the halal industry, especially post-COVID-19, there is therefore a need to prioritize the development of technology, not only in the manufacturing sector, but also in the other economic sectors under the Halal Toiban ecosystem. So in short, we understand there is a need to embrace science and technology as we go forward, but to drive the, as we go forward to drive the entire halal ecosystem, but we want to do it with ethics and with integrity. Now, what are the gaps? If we want to now use technology, what are the gaps? Now, the export value of Malaysian halal products almost tripled in 7 years, from 15.2 billion to 43 billion in 2017, contributing about 7.5% of Malaysia's gross domestic product in 2017. Now, unfortunately, while halal export has been a big part of the national economy, the country in 2018 has only taken 1% of the global halal market. Now, there is therefore substantial opportunity and room for improvement, since we can see Malaysians increasing their reliance on technology to actually facilitate their daily lives, like doing online shopping. So halal e-commerce and Muslim-friendly tourism actually are among the less developed areas in Malaysia, and we should see a rising demand in the future. And the lack of focus, this is what I'm trying to say, there's a lack of focus on halal processes, which with much of the attention being on halal product, but the process itself is not being paid attention in detail. And this is why I'm thinking that if you have an integrated halal supply chain, then all this will be looked into. So if we don't concentrate even on the halal process, we will lead to missed opportunities. So blockchain technology in particular may be very beneficial. It will be able to accelerate the halal certification process, prevent halal certificate from being forged, and provide traceability of the product from the origin, from the raw materials itself. So all of which should now amplify trust in the products and the supply chain. So the potential application of technologies in taking advantage of the growing halal economy is basically limitless. I mean, we can use virtual reality, we can use augmented reality, we now can use Internet of Things, and the development of mobile apps, or some of these can now be done and already being explored by the universities. So what then are the challenges in technology development? So to prevent more missed opportunities, we need to perform research that we close the innovation chasm between academia and industry, so that we can address the gaps in using the disruptive technologies by our halal industry and move the halal ecosystem to center stage. So first, we need to close the innovation chasm between academia and industry, or this is not going to move. Second, we need to have a digital infrastructure. So not everywhere in the country has this, so we need to have built this as an agenda. So the government has provided support basically in the recent budget to have this thing done. And to remain resilient, the national halal industry needs to adopt basically a robust digital strategy. This vital step is necessary to create awareness and basically develop initiatives that will empower industry players to step into this market. Another factor, as soon as you talk about technology and mostly the halal among the SMEs, another factor is, of course, cost. This has resulted in the lack of urgency, right? When cost is there and it's expensive, then you begin to see the lack of urgency for the industry to transform across all sectors. So costs also need to be overcome, or the missed opportunity will continue to grow. Then, of course, we need to have an agile government response to preempt the need for guideline, regulation, policies and acts that can now facilitate innovation, and the convergence of technology need to drive the halal economy. So halal, ladies and gentlemen, we all know is the fastest growing market segment globally, and therefore it is imperative that the country, with the help of HDC, Halal Development Corporation, can help push the agenda if we want to continue to stay in the game. So now I would like to share with you what Malaysia does, essentially a case study on how science, technology, innovation, economy can turn around and help the halal industries in Malaysia using the 10-10 Malaysian Science, Technology, Innovation, Economy framework. Now, to move knowledge and innovation-based economy, we need to do research. And to do research, there is a need for academia to collaborate with the industry. And COVID-19 has taught us that for the economy to survive and to recover, it has to be powered by science, but we cannot work alone. The scientists cannot work alone, the industries cannot work alone, the government cannot work alone, neither can the society. So basically, we have to work in a collaborative ecosystem with new business models. And of course, we need to do constant foresight so that we now know what are the things that need to be done in order for us to remain competitive. Therefore, impact-driven research is the way forward to move Malaysia's halal industries forward and enhance the quality of life of the rakyat. So the Academy of Sciences Malaysia has introduced the Malaysian 10-10 My STIE framework, and with 30 national STIE niche area that has been introduced. This is a framework or tool to actually now transform Malaysia into a knowledge-intensive economy by design, not left to chance, and move the country up the global innovation value chain with emphasis on the halal ecosystem. So this is the chasm between the knowledge generator, people in the universities, and the users of the knowledge, people in the industry. And of course, the community waiting for results from the universities, right? So this innovation chasm has existed for a very long time, despite the blueprint or even the government saying academia industry need to work together. We still do not have a very good rapport because of the lack of trust between academia and industry, and the lack of trust between academia and society. So there is a need to have more engagement between academia and industry in a collaborative manner. So the need for policy, as World Bank had evaluated Malaysia in the World Bank report 2020, there is a need for policy from higher education to actually link academia with industry and academia with society. There is a need for policy to be there. There's also a need to create an ecosystem to narrow the translation gap time from R&D to economic development. That means from the lab all the way to the industry. So we need to narrow the gap. So in short, we also need a policy that will link the R&D priorities to economy. And so the government in 2020 came up with the national STI policy, or national, and for the first time in this policy, it officially links science and technology drivers to socio-economic drivers for value creation. And we need to work in a collaborative manner. And how we work together on this is that, you know, academia industry, when they come together, they have to work on something. So what is that something called? This is the 10-10 My STIE framework to allow now for this collaboration to now happen. And all this was approved and launched in December 2020. So this is actually the 10-10 My STIE framework. So we have the 10 technologies here. These technologies are world technologies. We have done a foresight to now make sure that up to 2050, these technologies will still be relevant. And we are talking about 5G, 6G, or sensor, or 4D, 5D, advanced material, advanced intelligence system, or artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, augmented reality, blockchain, neurotechnology, and of course, bioscience technology. And these technologies basically can move. These are the 10 Malaysian socioeconomic drivers. So for any other country, you can have this change in the social economy, but for the technology, this remains the same. And basically the 10-10
Prof. Dato' Asma, you're muted.
Okay, so back to what I'm trying to say. Why is this happening? But anyway, okay. What I'm trying to say that if you now use a blockchain, you can now turn around any of the 10 socio-economic driver, and this is working together with fundamental and applied. But if you are now working on the socio-economic driver, let's say for agriculture, you need the combination of all these technologies basically to move agriculture. So we are having to say there is now a need for a multidisciplinary approach or transdisciplinary approach in order to turn around the agriculture industry or any of the socio-economic industry in the country. And these are the 30 niche areas which we will change every 2 to 3 years to make sure Malaysia remains competitive. All of these niche areas are directly or indirectly related to halal, and in order to allow research to happen is funded by the Malaysia Grand Challenge grants. So this is how you work on the 10-10, where you see this is the 10 technologies. And if you want to catch up, this is, let's say, for example, end-to-end halal compliant e-commerce ecosystem. You need to use technology 1, which is 5G, 6G, technology 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. So you see that as you want to move in a halal supply chain concept, there is a need to combine the technologies and work together. And if you want to leapfrog in the halal, this is also a necessity that needs to move. So, and what is important is that whatever is produced in this halal supply chain can hopefully produce technologies that can spill over and make a change to agriculture or culture and arts or even in medical and health. Let me now deep dive into end-to-end halal compliant e-commerce ecosystem. So if you want to do this, blockchain can be used now, is the key to traceability within the supply chain. So the blockchain's immutability and smart ledger system will make it suitable for traceability solutions that can ensure halal compliance from the source to the buyer. And we can see that this is the halal supply chain. We need an integrated halal supply chain because during COVID, when one of these sector fall, then you can't actually create a very fast enough response to the market. So if you have an integrated halal supply chain, you can now make sure that every part of it is working. So that's why we need to have this integrated halal supply chain. And to make sure that R&D now goes and perform to what is needed by society, we need to perform collaborative impact research, and we need to do this for the halal. So how do we now do this? This is where we use the word iConnect. iConnect is also mooted by Academy of Science, and I think you will have a session after this to explain to you about iConnect. And what we have done is that HDC, the Halal Development Corporation, is the neutral entity that can now bring the industry, the researchers, the civil society, and the government together. And iConnect basically is a collaborative model coordinated by neutral entity. Like Fraunhofer in Germany, all these 4 quadruple helix can come together naturally. But for Malaysia, because of this lack of trust between academia, industry, etc., you need a neutral entity to bring all these 4 parties together. So, and this is done in order to establish trust, which probably was going to take a while. But collaboration, hopefully within the 4 parties of the quadruple helix, will hopefully spur local industries with homegrown. That is the whole idea of this, to work together, academia, industry, to come up with our own technology that will now give us the competitive edge in the product value chain. So this is what we are hoping when we now work together. So the trusted neutral entities under iConnect hopefully will serve as the innovation intermediaries or accelerators that will now orchestrate the collaborative network among the players besides realizing the industry advancement. So for this to be a trusted entity, they do not take a cut of whatever they do, and it is through the collaborative innovation ecosystem via iConnect that it will now create and bring together a shared vision agreeable among all the players as to the kind of product and how it is to be delivered. So iConnect basically we hope should close the innovation chasm between the R&D and industry towards creating and increasing the disruptive innovation in order to penetrate the new and emerging markets globally. This is what we mean. If HDC is the connector, the neutral entity, actually in the halal economy, all the 10 socio-economic drivers actually can be moving towards halal. So even energy, we can create renewable energy. That's why I say halal cannot be just about food. It's about the entire lifestyle ecosystem, halal toiban. So when we start to do that, energy we can now make about renewable energy. We can talk about business and finance, how to make it better, culture, arts, tourism, even in medical and healthcare, how we're going to make halal vaccine, halal medical therapeutics and nutraceuticals, and smart technology systems, smart cities, etc., water and food, of course, how to make it halal, agriculture and forestry, because we need sustainable agriculture, fishery and forestry, education, again, in the teaching of what it takes now to make people understand about halal, and environment and biodiversity, because all this is very important. So basically, if you see a 10-10 my SCIE, even though it looks on the front as if it is science, but it is powered by halal science to actually turn around and create a new global halal hub, which can be a game changer for Malaysia. So in fact, we had studied this and found that the strong halal ecosystem powered by halal science in Malaysia basically will translate to several spillover impacts on the socio-economic drivers. So we can see that if we now do this, we can now be able to create halal vaccine, halal medical therapeutics, etc. So basically, we find that by using the 10-10, it will now spawn new sectors, increasing revenue streams and enhancing return of value for the rakyat. Like, for example, if now the manufacturing or the new generation manufacturing are using robots, these robots can now spill over and boost the medical sector, because we are seeing now robots being used to serve food, especially in COVID-19, and we can also use the robots in the agriculture industries. But more important, in the manufacturing sector, usage of robots will now prevent tampering and to make sure now things are in order. So if Malaysian halal certification, because Malaysia is very good for that, incorporates now global environment and ethical standards, Malaysia will build its global competitive edge. And so that's what we are hoping to happen. So and by saying that the halal ecosystem, when powered by halal science, can be the game changer for Malaysia as well as for the world. And at the moment now, more than 30 countries have downloaded the 1010 My SDIE and even contacted Academy of Science in how to move their country using the 1010 My SDIE. So with that, I thank you and acknowledge Academy of Science Malaysia for the data that I have in making this talk possible. So thank you very much. Back to you, Professor Yumi.
Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Asma. That was very interesting, informative speech as well, to see all the interlinkages between the 1010 MySDIE and the bigger picture of halal industry and halal ecosystem. I just want to reiterate Dr. Asma's point just now. We indeed need to create a agile response towards the demand in halal industry by leveraging science and technology with ethics and integrity towards the sustainable halal industry. So we hope that we can spur more collaboration after this event. Thank you again, Dato'. We Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Welcome back. Hope everyone has come back with a fresh mind and a pure heart for more sharing on various aspects on halal and tayyib. Kindly be informed that in this afternoon session, we will have 2 invited speakers, followed by the second parallel session of the day, parallel session beta. For the invited speaker sessions, we welcome audience to post your questions in the comment sections, and our Facebook admin team will collect these questions to be forwarded to the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Alhamdulillah, we have with us today Yang Berusaha, Mr. Hairul Arifin Sahari, the Chief Executive Officer of the Halal Development Corporation Berhad, HDC. Mr. Hairul Arifin Sahari is currently the Chief Executive Officer of HDC. He is a graduate in Bachelor of Science by Technology from the University Putra, Malaysia. He is currently pursuing a Master of Business Administration with Asia School of Business in collaboration with MIT Sloan School of Management. He started his career as an Assistant Director of Malaysian Investment Development Authority in 2003 and has over the years acquired extensive experience in investment promotional activities, industrial support services, and project management in various positions in Malaysian Biotechnology Corporation, followed by the Northern Corridor Implementation Authority, or NCIA, where he plays vital roles as one of the pioneer members for both government-linked organizations. With his vast experience and expertise, in 2010, Mr. Hairul Arifin was appointed as an advisor to Success Nexus Bioresearch Sdn Berhad, a biotech-based company specializing in mobile biodiesel plant production and research. He joined HDC in 2010 as a manager specializing in projects planning and monitoring, and since then, he has led various key strategic initiatives, among others, the establishment of the renowned Malaysia's Halal Industry Development Council. Please welcome now Mr. Hairul Arifin to deliver his talk entitled HDC's Role as the Central Coordinator of Malaysia's Halal Ecosystem. Please welcome Mr. Hairul.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Can I have a sound check? Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay,
thank you.
Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good day to Madam Chairperson, my fellow distinguished speakers, His Excellency Mr. Sandiaga Salahuddin Uno, Minister Tourism and Creative Economy Indonesia, Professor Dr. Asma Ismail, President Academy Sciences Malaysia, Dr. Ihsan Ovud, Secretary General, Standards and Metrology Institute for Islamic Countries, or SMIC, Mr. Bilal Parvais, Director, Islamic Business and Head of Product Development, Standard Chartered Malaysia, Madam Nur Aslina Zainal Abidin, Chief Executive Officer, Innovation Associates Consulting, and other members of Vihasc' 2021 conference. Ladies and gentlemen, Alhamdulillah, as a representative of Halal Development Corporation Berhad, or HDC, and one of the co-organizers for the virtual International Halal Science Conference 2021, I warmly welcome all of you tuning in today and hope that this 2-day virtual event would be beneficial platform to interact, exchange ideas, obtain knowledge, and make new acquaintances within the halal ecosystem. So before I proceed further, please allow me to do a short introduction about my organization. For your information, HDC is an agency under the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, or MITI. We act as a central coordinating body for all matters pertaining halal ecosystem development in Malaysia. HDC is the Secretariat of Malaysia Halal Industry Development Council. For information, Halal Industry Development Council is a council chaired by the Prime Minister of Malaysia that looks after halal ecosystem development from 4 perspectives, namely policies, infrastructure, resources, and incentives. HSDC's role is to facilitate the onboarding of industry players onto the halal economy, to increase Malaysia's halal export, attract more investments into our halal industrial parks, and creating quality employment for Malaysians along the process. So currently, there are 6 core activities to facilitate the growth and development of Malaysia's halal ecosystem, and we could offer these services to all business community, either domestically and also internationally. They are halal parks, halal advisory and consultancy, halal training institute, halal knowledge center, halal event management, and halal integrated platform, or HIP. So to learn more about what we do and how these activities could add value to your businesses, you can always visit our corporate website, www.hdcglobal.com. Ladies and gentlemen, for 600 years, the Islamic civilization's knowledge in science and technology have contributed and influenced the discoveries and innovations in humanities science, medicines, mathematics, and technology. So the fruits of scientific inquiry and innovation in the vision of Islam belong to all of mankind, with underlying principle of Tawheed and the oneness of being, supported by the attestation of the Holy Al-Quran. So when science, technology, and innovation, or we know as STI, are informed by faith and ethics, it serves the human interest by advancing societies and building civilizations. That is a very, very important aspect to learn. However, the traditionalist view of the West is that contribution made by Muslims in sciences lack the intellectual energy required for innovation, and its importance was only to preserve ancient knowledge and handing it over to medieval Europe. But the fact is, Islamic scholars and thinkers have actually assimilated and developed the work of the ancients to advance in philosophy, medicine, astronomy, and mathematics. So I give you some great examples. Avicenna, I think you know, Avicenna and Al-Biruni made advancements in medicine through prescribing the preparation of hundreds of drugs made from medicinal plants and chemical compounds. Al-Haytham, on the other hand, he studied optics, mechanics, and astronomy, while Al-Khwarizmi and Al-Kashi made advances in trigonometry, geometry, and Arabic numerals. It is to note as well that Al-Jabbar discovered algebra when referring to the Holy Al-Quran in studying the Muslim jurisprudence concept of faraid with the hope of optimizing halal as the new pathway in elevating the Islamic civilization. The underlying concept of halal is fundamentally religious to Muslims, as the term itself in Arabic means lawful and permissible. By taking a step closer in understanding the core values of halal, one will find that it emphasizes on health and social well-being and governance, business ethics, protecting nature, animal welfare, and the environment, and advocating sustainability. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the value proposition of halal. Halal principles have traditionally been applied to food and beverages with standards and regulations developed and enforced by national agencies around the world. The halal industry continues to expand and diversify beyond these confines to now include pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, health products, medical devices, toiletries, personal care products, as well as services sector components such as logistics, marketing, print and electronic media, packaging, branding, financing, travel, and hospitality. So with the wide range of products and services offering that leverage on the core values of halal, a country's social well-being can be enhanced, whilst simultaneously drive its national economic growth. Ladies and gentlemen, in the recent years, the demographics of Muslim consumers have impacted economic growth and global trade, which resulted in many countries, including Malaysia, incorporating the halal industry growth trends as a key economic driver. So the Muslim populace represents 25% of the world's population, with 2/3 living in the Asia-Pacific region. However, of late, there has been a paradigm shift in Asia-Pacific's non-Muslim countries, such as Japan, Korea, China, and Taiwan. These countries are very eager to have expressed interest to participate in the global halal economy, as they recognize the significance of halal values and the halal industry as a way of life that enhances the quality of living, improves health, safeguards the environment, as well as promotes sustainability and balance. Based on our study, the global halal industry market size is projected to be around USD 5.0 trillion by 2030. If it takes into account, that number takes into account the Muslim population. However, the potential market size is anticipated to be around USD 38 trillion if both Muslim and non-Muslim populations are accounted for in the consumption of existing halal products, new halal products, or potential products relevant to halal values, and utilization of new halal services offered in the market. So as a progressive Muslim country with consistent economic development and growth rate, Malaysia has been at the forefront of the global halal industry, which close to 5 decades of experience in developing its own halal ecosystem. Malaysia sets the bar internationally as a reference for best practices in the development of halal standards and business processes through nurturing growth and participating of local businesses into the global halal market space. As a catalyst for growth, the halal industry is expected to create positive political, economic, and social impact. The government of Malaysia's goal is not only to support the growth of the local halal industry, but to make it a step further by building a global halal community and bridging it through linking with halal ecosystem of other countries. So the agency entrusted by the government of Malaysia to do this is HDC. Ladies and gentlemen, HDC has been tasked to oversee the halal industry's growth and progress expansion of the halal ecosystem diaspora. In steering this initiative, the application of science, technology, and innovation, or STI, is essential as a key enabler in moving forward. Furthermore, the applied STI for the halal ecosystem must be aligned with the emergence IR 4.0, basically to benefit the halal industry through mass and optimized production, predictive consumer behavior, and supply chain integration. There are 3 identified focus areas in which STI can be applied for the halal ecosystem. The first being halal traceability and transparency, which has been a long-standing issue and concern. The halal traceability and transparency must be made available for scrutiny and validated among its users. This can be done by simultaneously customizing solutions through an open book approach and leveraging on technological advancements brought by big data analytics. So to ensure security and adding another data layer, to complement the analytics would be through uniting blockchain technology into the mix. The application of blockchain technology for the halal industry is critical component required to improve and increase the halal integrity of the halal supply chain, both downstream and upstream, by tracking and securing production and distribution records of the halal producers, materials, and ingredient source. This in turn would streamline and improve the activities of the certifying authorities when issuing halal certificates, thus improving the consumer confidence. In this way, the halal industry is able to retain its competitiveness in an open market and becomes the trusted and preferred choice for halal producers and consumers as a whole. For information, 70% of Malaysia's participation in the halal supply chain is connected to food and beverages, processed foods, preparations, and also ingredients. Within the areas of advanced alternative ingredients and raw materials, especially in F&B sectors, potential remains the greatest value generator for halal. As such, many new areas of development in food technology and ingredients would continue to make the science of halal highly relevant to increasing food security as well as to capturing global opportunities for growth. Food technology is moving forward food technology is actually moving forward at a very, very aggressive pace. And the application of halal values to new food production methods and technology plays an important factor. In line with this, the second STI focus area would be to advance alternative ingredients and raw materials, amongst which through both biotechnology and nanotechnology mediums. This shall be the core catalyst for halal advancement in this area. Extensive R&D, on the other hand, would be needed to understand the potential of making these ingredients and materials halal, and the required processes involved for testing and authenticating them. Results derived from the R&D would in turn become key enablers to the exploration of new markets in halal through cost and revenue optimization. Ingredients used to produce food, such as additives and enzymes, which may not be halal in nature but can be substituted by halal alternatives such as plant-based gelatin, glycerin, emulsifiers, enzymes, dairy ingredients, animal protein, and flavoring that must be provided for in abundance as a cost-effective approach in ensuring availability, security, environmental sustainability, and most importantly, meeting nutritional benefits. And lastly, the final element needed as a central coordinator to catalyze the halal ecosystem in the use of STI by means of integrating the values of the halal economy and industry onto a digitized virtual platform to cater the rise in global demands and countering the current COVID-19 pandemic situation. Malaysia, through HDC, has developed such a platform known as the Halal Integrated Platform, or HIP, which converges and digitalizes the entire halal supply value chain and benefit for the benefit of all halal stakeholders. This final link would endeavor to create, innovate, and connect the halal ecosystem holistically, through online for Malaysia and other countries. In order to increase trust, trade, and investments in halal, and to evolve halal with the current times, it is imperative to integrate it with technologies such as the Internet of Things, applications, mobile gadgets, and other electronic-based products and services to complement the many facets of lifestyle and demands of today's highly reliant technological society. So ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, I am proud to highlight that the government of Malaysia through HDC strives to ensure that efforts are continuous in progressing halal by means of STI to not only focus on areas related to strengthening halal compliance, but advancing creative solutions and innovative applications for halal as well. This commitment is founded in HDC's promotion of the research fields in halal and consolidation of the R&D's efforts in halal with the intention of amalgamating higher education and research institutions, think tanks, resources, experts, and knowledge workers altogether. Our vision has always been to make halal the first choice in business ventures, and our mission is to provide solutions for businesses to excel in the halal market spaces. This is our commitment in staying focused and resilient as central coordinator of Malaysia's halal ecosystem. Thank you all once again for tuning in. It's been an honor to be among such accomplished individuals and to be able to share my perspective before you all. With that, I wish you a very productive day ahead. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Mr. Hairul Arifin. That is a very informative talk. Mr. Hairul, we have several questions in the chat room. I hope we can take some of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I will read the questions. Question 1. What is the way forward of halal from the point of view of HDC?
Okay. We have, maybe can I have another two or three, another one or two questions?
Okay, I'll read maybe another one.
Yeah.
Okay. The other question is, HDC is the central coordinator of halal ecosystem and a very experienced entity and almost 20 years in operations. So what is HDC's view as main scientific research focus for halal?
Okay.
Scientific research focus. Is it okay? 2 questions at one time?
I can take another one if you want to.
Okay. The third one is, how can HDC assist halal science researchers and businesses interested in halal able to commercialize their research outputs in its valuation and industry investment into their halal products and services? Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting and a very hard question for me to answer, but I will try my best to answer those questions. May I start with the third question? I think it's much better. So the third question is asking about how HDC assists halal science and researchers to commercialize their researches, right?
Yeah, that's their research outputs. Yeah.
Okay. HDC through the iConnect initiatives, you can check in our website about this iConnect initiative. It's a quadruple helix model between industry players, civil societies, government agencies, together with academic researchers. We are embarking into together. Academic researchers is embarking to invest in commercially viable projects through fund matching and fundraising exercise. So halal projects with an existing investment will be matched on one-to-one funds. So meaning that if let's say a researcher have their ideas and also their findings, so they can always come to HDC and we will try to get funding for that particular projects. And if let's say for the cost of the project initially is 4 million, then we can always find funding from the private sector to match another 4 million. HDC is also exploring Wakaf Fund for halal innovations with relevant authorities. This is very, very interesting and new. But however, this initiative is still at preliminary stage, and we definitely will update the stakeholders on the progress from time to time. However, in a more strategic approach, researchers are invited to be a member of HDC's Halal Integrated Platform, or HIP, like I mentioned earlier during my speech. So through HIP, we will assist the researchers to get connected with potential investors within the halal ecosystem. So these investors could be one of the multinational corporations, local large corporations, venture capitalists, and maybe some high net worth individuals who are looking for medium to long-term investment opportunities. So that is my brief answer on the for the third question. So I think the second question is about HDC role as the central coordinator of halal ecosystem. Actually, HDC was established in 2009, so we are not yet 20 years in operation, but yeah, it's sufficient for us to announce that we are the subject matter expert when it comes to halal ecosystem development in Malaysia. And then the question also asks about what is main scientific research focus for halal as far as HDC is concerned. Many people out there would say big things like halal vaccine, which I totally support. However, for me or for HDC, halal substitutes, which mean alternative ingredients or raw materials, are the areas which we can champion now. So these are the main components for existing businesses to switch to halal, and also for new halal businesses to start. So I see this is doable. The applications could be wide, and the digestion period is not that long. But however, one thing that we need to be concerned here, when there are halal substitutes available, the switching costs must be reduced. As businesses are focused on cost optimization and the bottom line, especially during this hard time, this very challenging economic time. So ringgit and cents become very, very, very important. As such, any cost additions must be well justified and generate similar or higher revenues later on. So end of the day, I think while we are looking for a new substitutes for halal in halal raw materials or ingredients, is back to a business decision whether they have the capability and capacity or not to produce those kind of products. But for us, halal substitutes, halal ingredients, halal raw materials is the something that Malaysia or businesses in Malaysia or entrepreneurs in Malaysia can champion. And we can start it now because we have abundance of raw materials around Malaysia which can substitute non-halal raw materials out there. And back to the first question, what is the way forward of halal? Well, if you ask me, we want more tangible outcomes from halal industry. We want to increase halal exports. We want to attract more direct investment into our country, and we want to create as many quality job opportunities as possible for our people along the way. Muslim majority countries must stop being cheerleaders. Please allow me to use that word. Being cheerleaders and start becoming a real player in halal industry. So all this while we've been talking, that halal industry has this kind of big opportunity, 3 trillion, 38 trillion USD. But I think our Muslim nations, they are not players. We are just too much concentrating on the halal compliance part of it, whereby end of the day, the consumers are looking for good products and also services. Then that's why in many of my talk before this, when people ask me on how to develop a robust and sustainable halal ecosystem, and my answer is there are 2 elements that we need to focus on. The first one is the governance development, which is the certification and also standards development and also enhancement. But there is another element which is equally important, which is industry development. This is where the activities like manufacturing, production, R&D, innovation, human capital development come into play. So the reason why these two important elements are very important for us to, in order for us to develop a robust and halal ecosystem, if let's say one country just focusing on its halal governance, of course, yeah, that country can, that particular authority over there can announce to the whole world that they have the best halal certification and enforcement in town. But end of the day, you must remember, when people buy products, when consumer looking for halal, they're also looking for halal products and services. However, if let's say one country just focusing on halal industry development only, of course they can have a best product in the world, but unfortunately in the long run they cannot sustain or they cannot preserve the halal integrity throughout the supply chain. So that is the beauty about halal ecosystem development in Malaysia, whereby the government of Malaysia is always looking at that kind of these two perspectives. So if I want to explain and also share my thoughts on this, so, and there will be another long lecture. But of course, if you are interested to know more and to know how, especially, just let us know, and we are more than happy to partner up with you to grow your own halal ecosystem. So that is my short answers.
Thank you very much, Jairo. It seems that we have done quite a lot, but there's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
So inshallah, we'll do that together in the halal vicinity. Ms. Jairo, there are a few other questions in the chat room, but unfortunately we try to keep the time. So what we'll do is we'll collect the questions and we'll pass it to you, inshallah, hopefully that you can directly answer to the questions later on.
Inshallah. And
Yeah, thank you very much.
And
yes,
I have
yes, sure.
with me today. So if possible, we can answer. We can help to answer straight away after this session.
All right. Thank you. That will be very good. Thank you very much again, Mr. Harul Arifin, for your very informative talk. Thank you.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we shall now move on to the second invited speaker. We have the pleasure to have with us Dr. Ihsan Ovud, the Secretary General, the Standards and Metrology Institute for Islamic Countries, or SMIC, Istanbul, Turkey. Dr. Ihsan completed his Bachelor of Science International Relations program from Ankara University in Turkey. And he began to work at the Turkish Standards Institution, TSE, at the Department of Bilateral and Multilateral Agreements in 1991. During his term of office under this department for 9 years, he followed standardization activities of various international organizations and conducted meetings of these organizations in Turkey. He was actively involved in managing bilateral cooperation between TSE and national bodies of relevant countries and organizing official visits. Following his successful tenure as the director of several directorates between the years 2000 to 2011, he was appointed as the head of training department of the TSE, which was formed in 2012. He worked hard to improve the existing infrastructure by amending regulation framework and preparing all relevant guides in order to have a centralized system. While he was assuming his duties as the head of training department until December 2014, he was elected as the Secretary General of Standards and Metrology Institute for Islamic Countries, or SMIC, in the seventh SMIC General Assembly meeting held on 19th November 2014. His term of office as the Secretary General of SMIC officially started on the 15th December 2014, and he has completed his first term by 2017. Upon his nomination again, Dr. Ihsan Ovud was unanimously re-elected and is still on active duty as the Secretary General of SMIC. Dr. Ihsan today, inshallah, will be sharing with us his talk entitled OIC SMIC standards on halal issues and halal quality infrastructure. Please welcome Dr. Ihsan.
Yes.
Yes, Dr. Ihsan, the space is yours.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear brother and sister, first of all, I would like to thank to organizer and to invite us for this important virtual conference. I also want to thank for the Malaysian authorities, university, and Halal Development Center HDC. With your permission, I will first I will give outline my presentations. First, I will shortly give information about OIC, Standards and Metrology Institute for Islamic countries, SMIC, and then I will share the about standardization, what standards, and then I will explain our new document about the OIC Global Halal Quality Infrastructure. And then I'll shortly again talk about SMIC structure and its important organs. I will inform you about the Islamic rules in OIC SMIC standards, and then shortly inform you about our standards on halal issues. Finally, I will conclude, inshallah, my presentations. Maybe you all know the OIC. What is OIC? OIC is the second largest intergovernmental organization of the United Nations, established in September 1969, headquartered in Jeddah. OIC has 57 member states spread over four continents, from America to members, Asia, and Africa, and Europe. OIC is a collective voice of Muslim world and ensuring to safeguard and protect the interest of the Muslim world. This is shortly OIC. What is SMIC? SMIC is a charity-based and intergovernmental organization. It's a technical institute and affiliated to the OIC. SMIC is recognized as an international organization, has diplomatic status in Turkey. And SMIC was established in August 2010 officially. Headquartered located in Istanbul. We are not certification bodies. We are not giving any logo to companies. Maybe generally people asking the think SMIC also giving halal activities. We are not giving any halal certification. Main objective of SMIC, what is when you categorize or in groups, we have four main objectives. First is to prepare OIC SMIC standards on behalf of all OIC countries. Second objective is to achieve uniformity in standardization methodology and testing laboratories and in the member states. And third, as a third group, to provide technical assistance to member states which do not have such bodies like standardization, metrology, infrastructure, etc. And as a last group, to establish a conformity assessment scheme for the purpose of expediting exchange of material products, manufactured goods among member states, beginning with mutual declaration. This is Here we are talking halal certification, etc. The SMIC has a long history before the establishment. History is going to 1985 as a project. After many years discussing on the OIC level, it started open to the signature of ratification of member bodies, because we are established based on international agreement. This agreement first signed in 1999, and then we need 10 members. After in 2010, we reached 10 countries approved, signed, and ratified it started in their parliament. National procedures finalized. Officially start to work in 2010, but between 2010 and 12, some procedure work has done for the establishing the institute. In 2015 and 16, started to professional establish organs and launched platform for the preparation of standards. And first strategic plan was adopted in these terms. In 2017, it started, and the structure has revised because this very old history, after old history need to revision because of the new development in the international. Established 3 technical councils, one for standardization, second for accreditation, and other for metrology. In the last 4 years, 5 years, we reach new members. As I said, we start with 10 countries. Now we are 45 countries, new standards developed, etc. All the main documents we have a statute is an international agreement, the rules of procedure for the implemented statute. We have some internal regulations and the directives and guides for the development standards. We have a new strategic plan for next 10 years, starting this year, 2000 strategic plan for 2021 and 2030. As I said, we have 45 members in spread of to 4 continents. 42 is full members, 3 is observers. We have a new vision and new mission. I only read our vision to create quality infrastructure that improves economy, welfare, and protects our member states. This vision. We have a new 3 main goals, strategic goals. First is related to halal, high quality standards. Therefore, for members, the second one is for quality infrastructure. It can be seen from our website also. This is our strategic priorities, goals, and strategic target, etc. Now I will continue. As you see, we talk about standards. What is standards? What's standardization? It's very important words, should be clarified by all parties, especially in halal sector. When you talk standards, you have to have a single standard, a single document. This document should be prepared by consensus by all parts. If it can be national, international, or regional. If document is not prepared by all stakeholders, it's not a standards, the company documents or organization documents. This document should be have a consensus for all parties and recognized by a body. Who is recognized? This organization recognized by the governments, national standard bodies, regional and or international standard bodies are the recognized body. This document should be used common, not for a company, not for a standard. If standards used for one company, it is not standard, it is a company document and should be used repeated use, and voluntary. This standard should not be mandatory because of the nature of standards need revision time to time according to new development and technologies should be easily changed based on the consensus, recognizing authority and approval of all stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? All related parties, from the universities to the SMEs, to Chamber of Commerce's, private sector, and government organization, non-government organization, consumers, industry, etc., who are related in this area. They are the stakeholders of standardization. If we have standards, what we need a quality infrastructure. It's not enough itself. We have a standards. What is quality infrastructure? All aspects of standardization, metrology, accreditation, and conformity assessment. Conformity assessment include certification, inspection, management systems, testing. They have bearing on conformity assessment. Quality is a system of institutions which jointly ensure that products and process meet predefined specification, which are the standards. Standards, and after that we have the quality infrastructure. This is in the world. This is approved by the World Bank and internationally. You can see in all level you need standards. First, there should be national standard bodies, national metrology institutes, and national accreditation bodies, and between these you have to have standards. As a country, you need certification bodies, not monopoly by one company. There should be more than one free market. Inspection bodies also same, testing laboratories, calibration laboratories as a conformity assessment, and then all of serve to the enterprises, to benefit of the country, to consumers. When you go back to halal conformity assessment, what is the pillar of conformity assessment? Start standards first. After standards, you need certifications. It's not itself enough. You need accreditations. Standards are the key to any conformity assessment activity, since the pillars of conformity assessment depend on the existence of necessary standards. In CIMIC, we are developing all standards for the related sectors. For example, CIMIC 2 for certification bodies. This is a third-party conformity assessment of compliance according with the, for example, CIMIC 1 for halal food accreditation is we have CIMIC 3 competent certifiers, impartial and credible assessment according to CIMIC 2. There's a whole system. When you looked in this picture, this pyramid, in the bottom level for products and services, we have many standards, CIMIC 1, 4, 9, etc. But middle level, we have standards for conformity assessments. They should be accredited according to CIMIC 2 is, as I said, is for the certification bodies who are performing halal certification bodies. In top level, in top of pyramid, we have accreditations, standards. These authorized bodies, halal accreditation bodies. In the left, you can see there's the next structure. This is a platform for the mutual recognitions among the accreditation bodies. This is our document will be used in the future of OIC level for halal quality infrastructure. Same thing we categorize here in the right side. There is CIMIC prepare all standards for accreditations, for certification, for testing laboratories, and we have metrology platform for the reference matter and help to standardizations, bring the necessary separate document for standards activities. Standards for whom? For product certification, for process certification, for testing, for the when the market needs all the for halal chain. You can see what we will reach after this structure. We will answer the customer needs and requirements via standards for raw material, standards for manufacturing, standards for production, standards for distribution, for storage. And each level, when you need certification, if here for mentioned level, maybe you need testing for distribution time, you need inspection standards for storage also. But there will be logo. Logo also should be according to standards are approved and adopted by the recognized bodies, and then all will be accredited according to the recognized standards, and and at the end, the product will go to the end user. What will reach? We will have customer satisfaction 100%. He will be happy. You will answer the complaint, the handling, audit management, a warranty for the products, and we will say what we will say at the end. The result of this one, we will have full halal. What will reach of this benefit of this system? There will be a real traceability, increase of consumer trust on halal, and there will be mutual recognition of products will be traveled to everywhere without second check or control or certifications, and the system will break diminish technical barriers to trade. Trade will be more easier than we have. Here just I want to say some one sentence. This all will be based on accreditation systems. Currently, we have in the world recognition in some countries. This recognition system is just serving to the countries. Country level recognition is not international system. Maybe sometimes can help the only origin countries, but for the free trade, not easy, not respectable. The system, the accreditation system, this is the future of the halal. And what turn back, as I said, I will just shortly inform you about CIMIC structure and organs. This is our chart, CIMIC chart. In top level, we have General Assembly. All members are here. Under General Assembly, we have Board of Directors, elected 13 members. Malaysia is there now, is a member of this one. And then I said we established in 2007 3 technical councils: accreditation, standardization, metrology councils. Shortly, I will inform you. General Assembly is the supreme decision-making organ, top organs of compose all member states. The policy, general policy issues are discussing here. Not more give the informative issue to give you. Board is important, board of directors, because this is for technical issues. This organ has high authority for the plans and the activity of the institute, executing by and supervision of these organs. We have a chair and 3 vice chairs. Board of the Health at least 2 meetings in a year. As I said, we have 3 councils. Accreditation Council responsible for the supporting action of establishing a sound accreditation system, and membership is limited to accredited bodies of the CIMIC member states. 12 national accreditation bodies has managing this council. Accreditation Council is organ to carry out activities aimed to establish of an accreditation scheme in the OIC member states. This council prepared OIC Global Halal Quality Infrastructure after nearly 7 or 7 years discussion. Finally, this document this year approved by the board of directors. Next month, we will send this document to OIC for the further endorsement, and maybe OIC will announce and send to all members. This is the system of OIC for halal management, halal quality infrastructure. We have Metro Council, this is a technical scientific area. The membership is open to all members. The managing is not like limited to elections. Preparing training program, etc. Technically can be found from the website. The third organ, Standard Management Council, is assigned to the task of developing OIC standards in cooperation with CIMIC member states. This organ is decision making for standardization activities, establishment of technical committees, and resolution about standardization policies, and the other issues are discussing and approving in this council. This council are managed by the member states. The short name of published CIMIC standard is OIC CIMIC/CIMIC, because we are doing all standards for OIC, not for institutions. This for all OIC members, or OIC SAP. Under the standardization council, management council, we have technical committees. The standards are not developed by the general standard organ itself, by CIMIC itself. We can say standard is handled by various technical committees composed of member states. Each committee has a precise title, a scope, a working program, and then each committee acts in accordance with agreed business plan. This business plan approved by the technical committee and also standard management council. Each technical committee has a secretary and appointed a chairman for 6 years first time, and then each 3 years can have re-elections. And each committee has membership like international organization, full members, PUSA participation member, observer, all members, and liaison organizations. All of our member states. And liaison organization is international organization like important NGOs, like trade organizations. They can be part of the standards activities. Each committee has experts and observers. The committee is working according to the directives. We have two main directives. One is part one is for procedure of technical work, how committee work, how quality established, and the other organs. And the second is the structuring of drafting the standards, and two guides, one for adoption, second for the distribution and sale of standards. We have a special committee for conformity assessment. It means halal certification, accreditation, and inspection standards under the response of this committee. Till now, we have 17 technical committees plus a policy committee on standards for conformity assessments. For halal issues, we have halal food issues, halal cosmetic, tourism is preparing halal standards, and then for example, in halal supply chain and halal management systems, as a TC 10, 11. We have a halal pharmacy, TC 16, TC 16 and TC 10 as secretary, a chairman is from Malaysia, for example. The TC1 secretary and chair from Turkey, cosmetic secretary from United Arab Emirates, agricultural products is secretary is from Iran, leather Pakistan, terminology Sudan, tourism is secretary in Tunisia, etc. The secretary is assigned to a country. Each standards work as developed on the basis of project. First, like a project starting by these technical committees. A project is any work intended to lead to the issue of new, amend, or revise standards. If you have a current standard going to be revised, is also a work for committees, like drafting any document and finalized to be published as standard. But each standard have to go several levels. We have 6 levels in stage in the standardization work, from the proposal to publications. In each level, there is a limited times can be waited. Sometimes you have to wait it for voting times, especially 3 months, 2 months. For example, in committee level, 3 months for ballot by default, 3 or 4 months for vote possible. And this some level can be skipped if you have a mature document. Committee agree on the document. For example, we have a national standard, Malaysian standards. If committee decide to publish the OECD standards, it can be skipped to the from first level to the 4th, and then in the 4th level, we are sending document for 3 months balloting to all member states. We are looking the national consensus. There is consensus means at least more than 75 of the members should vote in favor, not against. And then two type what method is here calculating for consensus. One is for all members, therefore committee members. In committee members level, 1/3, not more than 1/3 be against standards. If we reach in committee membership and national all CIMIC members level together, you have to reach the consensus. With consensus, there is no any disapprove in these levels. The standards also can be skipped to the publication. If there is still technical issues need to be discussed, we are sending again as a final draft for 2 months. It means a standard can be published at from 6 months to 2 years time. Take a standard published from beginning to end. All activities are all this documentation and voting are doing under the CIMIC information system, online system. Enhance and organize the CIMIC technical work, easily access to the technical committees, documents, and improve the communications are doing under this system. Till now, we have 41 published standards. I'm seeing is showing you, for example, OSMIC 1, OSMIC 2, 3, 4. We are seeing name of standards. Our old standards is only maybe 3 years ago, not more than. Standards. These are all standards.
Dr. Ihsan, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you have many more slides?
Yes, not more. I will just conclude in 5 minutes.
Because we have a few questions I think would be interesting for you to.
Okay. I will. I'll just these 2 slides important. Then I will give. We'll come back to questions.
Thank you.
There's a last section of my presentation. Islamic rules in OICM standard. What type of Islamic rules are using in standards? First of all, we have to know the religious base for standard. Islamic rules, there's a word in standards, they say, because many terms are using, some countries say Sharia law, Sharia rules, etc. But in standards, OIC standard, Islamic rules or Sharia rules are using. Because many countries have some concerning about the terminology. Only Islam International Academies fatwas are essentials. Because our main partner designated by the OIC is International Academies, is the what was received from here. Standard not fiqh documents. Sometimes they're mixing. They are looking at standards as holy document, not the holy documents. The holy is our holy books, Quran is and Sunnah and other resources. But standards are the technical documents, but they are include Islamic rules. Because we are talking about how slaughtering and how you say name of God, etc. What is halal, what is halal? All these are receiving from the fatwas and putting the standards. Standards in halal foods are for products subject to consumption and trade among Muslim and others. Halal production, certification, and accreditation are added value and trust to the products. And there's some quoted from International Islamic Academy, important stakeholders in halal industry of Islamic, a supreme authority at the level, state level for religious inspection. For example, in the Malaysia, you have JAKIM is supreme authority. In Turkey, Diyanat. In country, you have top organization, but these are for fatwa, for religious issues. If some country, if you don't have that, they ask Islamic councils like this for non-Muslim countries. At least you have the councils. For example, Singapore, they have MUIS, etc. They are these organizations should not be certification bodies according. Because they are supreme authorities. They should be not be directly in the certification. They want to be top level. Accreditation bodies, these shall be owned and directed by Muslim. Because this fatwa say this one, and standards also, our standard says. Why we are mentioning it? Because there is a lot of initiative. They want to give these authorities right to the non-Muslims accreditation bodies. Fatwa is against this one. Certification bodies also, there's sometimes some people says everybody should give halal logos, etc. Fatwa says this shall be owned and directed by Muslim only. There's a limited for halal certification. Only halal CBs can do these activities. And then key persons and the others should be like employee, should be Muslim, must be Muslim, not allowed to the non-Muslim be key actor in this service. And they says, remember always, halal is sovereign issue of the Islam Ummah first. Halal for all humanity, but first is sovereign issue of the Islamic Ummah, is our Ummah. And standards can find in the list. For example, just shortly, I will say some standards. For example, CIMIC 1, from preparation and processing to end users, these standards include all basic requirements for halal food. These standards are prepared in OIC level first and then transferred to the CIMIC. And I was in the first, at the beginning, went together with Malaysian team, etc. When Malaysia was the secretary of this, the chair of this committee in one OIC level in 10 years ago, 13 years ago. Now is these standards has many reference in international and also resource from national standard like Malaysia and other countries. CIMIC 2 is for requirement for halal certification bodies. Only, as I said, Muslim CBs can do these activities. Only OIC member countries accreditation bodies can do halal accreditation. Is limited to halal certification, not limited to OIC countries, but accreditation is limited to OIC member countries. But also this, for example, it can be Muslim country, but this also management on the country level of the accreditation activity, halal accreditation should be Muslim and the Muslim entity. Accreditation body can do this any activity in other countries. Cosmetic also is new standards. This last 2 years published. This is for the restaurant, for the cafe, etc. How we implement OI'21. This for halal tourism. After the 6 years discussion and many times, take a lot of time, is for halal all type tourism and hotel accommodations. This standards OICMIC 17-123 is secretary is chaired by Malaysia. I hope Malaysia also will adopt all our standards as a national standards. This is new published standards 3 months ago for halal management, which is for all type companies. This also this year published halal edible gelatins. This for food additive last year published. We have more 4 standards that are all for the conformity assessment certification area. This for example, OICMIC 33 example of certification scheme for halal products. This for the certification personnel who are involved in halal related activities, for the actors, technical experts who want bodies certificate the persons for them. They were testing laboratories. As a conclusion, OIC standards are the result of common study and achieved of the OIC members and partners through the technical committees. As I said, members are preparing standards. SIMIC is a common platform for the set of for all stakeholders, and OIC halal standards are common standards for the Muslim world and all interested parties. Thank you for your kind attention. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Maybe I can take one question for you, Dr. Ihsan.
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll take the last question in the chat box here. What are the SMIC's plans to assist the halal industry or halal economy for Muslim communities in non-OIC member states?
Sorry?
What are SMIC's plans to assist the halal industry, halal economy for Muslim communities in non-OIC member states?
Yeah, we are standards body. We are not first of all, our priorities for the OIC members, but our standards for all any non-OIC can use standard. Only for the accreditation, there's the limitations. The other standards for all parts, all afterwards, anyone can use it. Because accreditation is very critical issue in halal conformity assessment activities, because we are given the passport to travel products, and also accreditation is doing by on behalf of the public, is not issue, cannot be non-Muslim issue. You are a non-Muslim cannot authorize a Muslim like this. That's all standard for everybody.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Ihsan. Thank you very much for your sharing today. Inshallah, we'll see you again in other occasions. Thank you very much.
Inshallah. Thank you. And the question I hear.
Yes, Dr. Ihsan, there are also other questions in the chat room. If you want to directly answer them in there, we'll be greatly appreciated. If you have to move on to the next session.
Okay, I will make copy. If some are critic, I will write to you.
Right. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's great.
Have a good conference. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Prof. Yumi, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Okay, before we, okay ke tu? Am I okay now? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Before we continue to the final session of day one, which is parallel session beta, please allow me to run through the program for day two. Inshallah, tomorrow we'll start our program at 9 for parallel session beta. And then we'll have one keynote speech at 11 and followed by 2 invited speakers before the lunch break and Zohar prayer at about 1 o'clock. In the afternoon at 2 p.m., inshallah, we'll have the special session with the chairman of iConnect, Halal Supply Chain, which is being promoted in the chat room just now by HTC. So we hope to see everyone there. As for now, for parallel session beta, which will start very soon, please join using the meeting ID and passcode sent to your emails. You may select the room you would like to join. You can switch between the rooms at any time, but note that capacity of each room is 200 participants. If that particular room is full, you may try at a later time to rejoin. With that, thank you. Stay safe. Terima kasih.